I want to play for you guys where we get a better understanding of integrity. Usually, as you know, I do slides. Today, I just wanted to show you guys some videos of people living with integrity. So if you give me a minute, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you those particular videos. Give me one moment because they should already be set up on my screen. Let's hope that they are. Yes, we're going to start out with actually a book, because if you've heard us talk in the past, we've talked about increasing our reading. We can use Hoopla Digital to actually borrow books from the library in ebook form so that we can read them. I think libraries are actually opening up a little bit more so we can actually visit libraries in small groups. Nope, sorry, I know the Dover Library is not allowing that. You can go online and choose a book and go there and pick it up. But you can't go and just look through the aisles like we used to and find a book. But I wanted to encourage us to continue to read, because that's very, very important. So today, though, we get a chance to listen to a book that's being read, but you can actually read along as the video plays. So give me a second, let me share my screen. And this is a book about a young girl. Basically, it's a fable because we're using animals to tell the story, has to make a decision about her own integrity. So give me a minute, let me share my screen, and then I'll share that and show you guys what I'm looking at. I'm going to shut this down. Can you guys see, not me, but my screen? Do you see the little film on the screen? Yeah. Yes?
Yes.
Great. Ms. Barber, we can start recording now. I'll wait for that. Are we already recording? Okay, that's fine. We'll edit out what we don't want later.
Integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. What would you do?
Wow, he dropped some money in the hall. Maybe I should give it back to him. On the other hand, I could do a lot of good things with this money. For me, for others.
What kinds of things could she do with the money that could help her? Help others? What do you think she should do? Why? Pause the video now and talk about it with your class.
So what types of things could she do with the money? You guys can answer, which means you'll have to take your microphone off mute. What kinds of things could you do with $20?
Maybe for instance, donate it to charity.
Okay. Now remember, this is $20 that she found on the floor, and she may know who the owner of the $20 is. But one of her, she's divided. One of her thoughts is what she could do for herself and for others, and the other is maybe should she give it back? Let's talk about the first thing. What should she do, in your opinion?
Give it back, because you might not know how much the person needs it.
Excellent. What about you, Brandon? What do you think? What should she do?
I think she'll buy something that she really needs.
Okay. What should she do, in your opinion? I tell you what, hold on to that thought. Let's see what she actually does.
Life is full of choices. Let's look at a book where the main character is faced with different choices. Does she act with integrity? Watch the following video and then pause at the appropriate times to discuss the different questions asked. Ruthie and the Not So Teeny Tiny Lie, written and illustrated by Laura Rankin. Ruthie loved tiny things. The tinier the better. Her toys were the teeniest imaginable. She had dinky dinosaurs, itty-bitty trains, ponies no bigger than your pinky, and teddy bears that were barely there. Ruthie loved finding tiny treasures too. At the beach, she searched for the smallest seashells. The flowers she picked were no bigger than fairy wings. She even had an eggshell from a hummingbird. Wherever Ruthie went, she carried some teeny tiny thing in her pocket. One day at school recess, after jump rope and swings, Ruthie took a turn on the twirling bar. When she landed, she saw something in the grass. It was a little box with a teensy window and an even tinier button on top. She couldn't believe her luck. It was a teeny tiny camera. Ruthie looked through its little window, then she pressed the button on top to take a picture. Click! Oh, just like a real camera. This was absolutely the best thing Ruthie had ever found, and it was hers. Click, click. She tried it out every which way. Say cheese, clouds. Click. Say cheese, little bug. Click. Say cheese, Loon Lake School. Click. Say cheese, Martin. Click. But Martin didn't say cheese. Martin said, "Hey, that's my camera." Ruthie was startled. "No, it's not. It's mine." "Give it to me," said Martin. "It's mine." "It is not. It's too." "No, it's not,"
What choices could Ruthie make?
shouted Ruthie, and she
Sorry about that. What choices could Ruthie make here?
She can either give it back or just say that it's hers.
Okay. What do you think she should do?
Give it back.
Okay. Any other opinions? Okay. Let's see what she does.
You should give something that doesn't belong to you back to the original owner just because it's their personal item. Even make the or he can make the decision.
Okay. Let's see what she does.
raced back to class. "What's going on?" asked Mrs. Olson. "Ruthie's got my camera," cried Martin. "I got it for my birthday and I dropped it on the playground." But Ruthie wanted that teeny tiny camera in the worst way. "It's mine," she yelled. "I got it for my birthday." Well,
So what choice has Ruthie made?
She lying?
Okay.
She's lying so that she can support her own satisfaction.
Excellent. Okay. Let's watch some more.
that wasn't true at all. Not one teeny tiny bit. Mrs. Olson looked at Martin. She looked at Ruthie. "Goodness, this is a problem," she said. "The camera can't belong to both of you. I'll keep it safe in my desk drawer for now. Let's talk about it again tomorrow." Ruthie's stomach flip-flopped all the rest of the day. She couldn't remember the answer to 2 plus 2. When Mrs. Olson read a story, every word flew straight out the window. The bus ride home took forever. "Hi, Ruthie," said Mama. "How was school?" "Okay," mumbled Ruthie. Dinner was macaroni and cheese, Ruthie's favorite, but she couldn't eat. Not one little bite. "Aren't you feeling well?" asked Papa. "I'm not hungry," she said. At bedtime, Ruthie was close to tears.
What do you think is happening with Ruthie?
She's getting nervous because she actually stole something, and she's getting nervous because she hasn't done anything that bad before.
Okay. Any other opinions? What do you think she's going to do next?
Maybe tell the truth, because she's not thinking straight, because she keeps on thinking, "Oh, I stole this tiny camera from this person just for my own satisfaction." So she might give it back, but I don't know.
Let's find out. Let's see.
"What's the matter?" asked Mama. So Ruthie told Mama and Papa the whole story. "What do you think went wrong?" asked Papa. "I said it was my camera," cried Ruthie, "but it's not." "It's going to be okay," said Papa. "You made a mistake, and tomorrow you can fix it. I think Mrs. Olson and Martin will understand." But the next morning, Ruthie could barely eat. Maybe Mrs. Olson wouldn't understand. Maybe Ruthie would have to sit in the timeout corner. Maybe Martin would never talk to her again. Maybe no one would ever talk to her again. Not one teeny weeny word. The school bell was about to ring. Ruthie took a deep breath and began the long walk to the front of the room. Mrs. Olson's desk seemed very far away. "Good morning, Ruthie," said Mrs. Olson. "I have something to tell you," said Ruthie in a very small voice. "The camera isn't mine. I didn't get it for my birthday. I found it on the playground."
What do you think will happen to Ruthie?
Maybe, maybe, maybe the teacher will say it's okay, because we all make mistakes, and that's the same thing that her dad said. We all make mistakes, because um, because people will understand the fact that she would like to take the camera, um, because they know how much she would enjoy, even though it wasn't hers.
Excellent. That's a good point of view. Let's see what happens.
Mrs. Olson didn't make her sit in the timeout corner. She didn't even look mad. Instead, she gave Ruthie a hug and kissed the top of her head. "Thank you for telling the truth," said Mrs. Olson. "That took a lot of courage." "I'm very sorry, Martin," said Ruthie. "It's okay," said Martin. All at once, Ruthie's stomach stopped flip-flopping. She even skipped a little on the way back to her desk. She got the right answer to 3 plus 7 in math. After lunch, Mrs. Olson read the funniest story Ruthie had ever heard. And on the short bus ride home, Ruthie realized she didn't miss the teeny tiny camera, not one teeny tiny bit.
So let's talk about Ruthie's decisions throughout this book. When did she make poor decisions?
When she said the camera was hers on the playground and she wouldn't give it back to him.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? What about when she first found it? What should she have done? Think of it, if it were your camera, what would you have wanted her to do?
Maybe for her to look for the owner of the tiny camera instead of
Yes,
taking pictures.
not looking for the owner when she first found it. That wasn't a good decision.
Because if you just saw something that didn't belong to you on the street, would you either take it or try to find somebody who actually did have it?
Excellent. So when did she make good decisions?
When she came out and told the truth to her teachers and the boy, and when she told the truth to her parents too.
Okay, excellent. Let's see how much more there is to this. Where does this end? Oh, one last question. Which decision do you think showed Ruthie having integrity? Remember, integrity is doing the right thing all the time, every day, whether someone's looking or not. Which decisions do you think showed Ruthie having integrity? Would it have been the good decisions or would it have been the bad decisions that you think would have shown her having integrity?
Maybe the good decisions.
Okay. Right? Because the good decisions was deciding that, you know what, the camera didn't actually belong, excuse me. Sorry. One of the good decisions was that she realized the camera did not belong to her. And at first, she was honest with her parents. Her parents helped her get the courage to then be honest with, hopefully, this guy's her friend, or at least her classmate and her teacher. Doing that, all of those things was her showing of having integrity. When she lied, when she took something that didn't belong to her, those things are not of someone with integrity. Okay? Let's finish watching. I think we're at the end, but let's finish seeing that. Let's see if there's anything else.
Now let's revisit what happened at the beginning of our video. Will the girl act with integrity? In the end, she chose to give the money back. Did she act with integrity? Why or why not? Discuss your answers as a class, and thanks for watching.
Did she act with integrity?
Yes, because she did the right thing, and it showed integrity because when she gave the money back, she did the right thing even when not being told to or without anyone seeing her do it.
Excellent. Brandon, what do you think? Does she act with integrity?
So again, in case you missed it, acting with integrity is doing the right thing even when people aren't watching. And so she found the money, nobody was watching her, but she gave it back. So do you think that she was acting with integrity?
Yes.
You are absolutely correct. And so we can get a better idea of what integrity is. I have one more video that I would like us to watch. Give me one moment, let me set it up and we can enjoy that. Give me one moment.
Mr. Williams, we also have Brigitte is logged on if you wanted to ask her any questions as well.
I'm so sorry. Okay, well, our last question on this. I'm terribly sorry. As a matter of fact, before we go to that one, did she see the whole video? Brigitte, were you able to watch the entire video?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did the young lady act with integrity?
Excuse me, what did you say?
Did the young lady act with integrity? The young lady who found the $20 on the floor, did she act with integrity?
Yes,
Why do you believe so?
because she gave the money back when nobody was watching.
That
Or
is
nobody
absolutely
called.
correct. So as I said, the next video kind of strengthens our understanding of what integrity is. So give me a moment. I will finish setting that up so we can enjoy that. All right, there we go. And everybody sees my screen now, correct?
Yes.
All right, there we go.
Hello, and welcome to today's lesson. Today, we're going to learn about integrity. A person who has integrity is someone who believes in kindness, honesty, and fairness, and practices those things every day in every way. For example, a person who is nice one day, but then tricks or teases someone on another day, does not have integrity. But a person who always does the right thing because it's what they believe in, well, that person does have integrity. So if you are kind, truthful, honest, and fair, and you act that way every day, pretty soon, people will see you as a person with integrity. And that's a super goal to aim for. That's the power of integrity. Now, here's your challenge. How can you practice living with integrity as an individual? In your classroom, and as part of your school. Good luck in your challenge! And good luck practicing integrity. Remember, integrity means being kind kind, truthful, honest, and fair. Each and every day.
And there we go. Welcome, everybody, to another exciting adventure, basically, with Cyber Streets of Sankofa Inner City Culture League. We are virtual today, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. And unfortunately, we can't invite you anymore to join us. But I thank you for joining us here. And hopefully, you're catching us on YouTube. How many of you have ever wanted to bend solids in your bare hands? Have you ever thought that that was even something you can do? I'm not talking about when you really go at it and you're trying to bend a spoon or a fork, for example. You just bend it, just with just the slightest touch. Well, that leads us to talk about the different states of matter. Now, matter comes in what states? What'd you say? Solids, that's one. Liquids, yes. Yes. Those are the three states of matter. That is absolutely correct. Solids, gases, liquids are the three states of matter. And we're going to watch the world-renowned magician, Jason Latimer, today show us how we can actually transform a solid and make it act like a liquid. Hold on just one moment as I share my screen and we enjoy this.
Have you ever wanted to bend a spoon with a superpower? Yeah, me too. Well, today I'm going to show you how to do it, and it won't be a party trick. Welcome to Impossible Science. Hey everyone, it's Jason Latimer, World Champion of Magic, coming to you with another Impossible Science. Now, today's topic is, can we get a solid to transform itself and start acting like a liquid? And even though this is a trick, today I'm going to show you how to make what's called a gallium spoon. Using science, we'll have a spoon that will actually melt at our fingertips. Now, we're going to transform from solid to liquid, which does bring up the question, what are the states of matter? Matter is a substance that makes up everything. So when we're referring to the states of matter, we're referring to the physical state of that substance. Scientists classify those states into solids, and then there's liquids and gases. Solids are easy to understand because they have a fixed shape, while liquids and gases do not have a fixed shape. Both liquids and gases, like water and water vapor, take on the shape of the container they're in, so they have no specific shape. So scientists treat both liquids and gases as fluids because they flow. By convention, we call a fluid with a high density of matter a liquid, and we call a fluid with a low density of matter a gas. So when we are talking about states of matter, we're really describing the state of the substance is either a solid or a type of fluid. Now,
it's a fact. In the new economy, average people are becoming millionaires faster and easier than ever before.
Sorry about that.
now that we know the states of matter, if you wanted to go from liquid to gas, well then you're interested in evaporation or you're interested in the boiling point. But if you're interested in a magic illusion where we can go from a solid spoon to a liquid, well then we're interested in the melting point. And there's a metal that has a pretty low melting point, and it's called gallium. Now, this metal has a melting point at roughly 85.57 degrees, which is like 10 degrees more than room temperature. Now, the reason why it's solid right now is because I froze it. I literally just casted this from a liquid, put it in the freezer, and now it's touching my skin, so it's quickly warming up. It's roughly, my skin is 93, 92, you can see that, and the surface is 86, 87, so it's going to start melting in my hand. This is also gallium. It's a little bit warmer, and I think it's closer to 85, right where it's supposed to be melting. That's the surface too, it's a little solidifying. So if I keep this in my hand, you can actually see my hands look dirty, but they're actually, it's just the gallium rubbing off my fingertips. But if I put it in my hand, It's really heavy. You can actually feel it. It just looks like, whoa. Now, you can see that if we found a way to get this liquid metal to take the shape of a spoon, well, then you could see why it would melt at our fingertips, as long as we kept the heat above 85.5 degrees. So, let's make a spoon. So how do you actually make a gallium spoon? Well, there's actually molds that you can buy online, which is crazy. Apparently this is a thing. It's still connected at the bottom if you take a close look at it, and that's so that everything stays aligned. First, we're gonna take some boiling water, right? And I'm gonna place it in here. Now, I'm not gonna fill up that much, and I'll show you why. Because I always keep my gallium in a separate container, and I place it inside that hot water. That way it melts, but I also don't mix water inside it. So I'm actually heating it up with water rather than putting it on a stove or something like that. Now, for molds, we're gonna be using a little kind of syringe, and we're actually gonna inject the gallium into this mold. But you can't just push it in there right now because it'll just seep out the sides. So we're gonna assemble this. Let's get this put together. All right, so now I'm gonna slide this in there. Now here's a couple other tricks. You want these down, but you want them snug, but not tight. Now comes the fun part. We're gonna suck up the gallium, and then we're gonna inject it into this mold. Now I'm gonna try to do this as steady as possible, so it goes all the way down to the bottom.
Now you're probably wondering why I'm doing it this way. I'm actually injecting from the top down because if I tilt it sideways, I don't want it to bleed out the side. And by doing it this way, I can actually see inside as it's filling up. Top it off just a little bit.
I think I did a good job on that one. Okay, now I've let the mold sit in the freezer for a little bit, and I can tell just by the temperature it's got to be solid by now. So let's just take it apart and see how we did. This is always the scariest part because you can't really tell if you got all the air out of it while you're filling it up. And let's see how we did. We did really good. You can see it in there. It's got a little leftover pieces on the sides, but for the most part, that looks like a pretty solid spoon. That's great. That will totally work. Now here comes the tricky part. I have to pull this out without breaking the spoon, but if I apply too much pressure, the heat from my hands will melt the spoon. So let's see what I can do here. I'll split it out here. And it's gonna be very brittle when I pull it out. Just gonna give it a little bit of a wiggle to come out here. I don't wanna apply too much pressure after waiting for this thing to solidify. There it is. Break off a couple of this little excess piece here. Well, there you have it. There's a spoon. Now we know, because we made this spoon, that if we let this sit and it gets into the temperature of about 85.5 degrees, it's gonna start melting. It will start bending. Now, I've seen a lot of magicians hold their spoons like this. Not saying any of them are using gallium, but they could do it here. But I think we could actually make this look really magical from just holding it from the tip over here. Now, all you'd have to do is concentrate, or just squeeze here and let the temperature of your hand actually melt the spoon. Let's see if I can get it to work this way. I'll focus my energy. Now, even though it broke off, it was melting. In fact, you can see it puddling inside the spoon. That's great. Now, you're probably wondering, how did that just melt so quickly? Well, it didn't really just melt because I didn't make the room 85.5 degrees, but I did put a hairdryer right up there just to blow hot air on it. But even though bending is pretty cool, what if I told you you can actually make it vanish? So if you want to make it vanish, put some hot water right there. You can actually make something like this vanish instantly. Gone. In fact, I can do it with the stick. Wow. And just check that out. It just turns into droplets of gallium. Well, that's it for today. We actually made a melting, bending spoon, and we didn't do it with the trick. We did it through science. And if that looked like magic to you, then let me know. Put the word magic in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the episode, just click the like button and share the video with your friends. And until next time, stay curious, because the right question changes everything.